What do you think when you see it?
Stay alive. I knew that I had to survive this. I went up like that with my hands up to show no threat.
This was a lynching on video.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendants.
I think the verdicts lit a match, but the tinder was already in place and very dry.
Are you able to forgive those cops? Have you let those demons go? Did you hang on to that money or did you throw it away?
Can we all get along? Can we get along?
March 3rd, 1991, 25-year-old Rodney King is thrust from obscurity to a national symbol of police brutality. The brutal beating that took place here along Foothill Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, would reverberate across the country. A city in flames. Entire neighborhoods burned to the ground. Now, 2 decades later, what's it like to be the man whose beating, seen round the world, ignited one of the worst race riots in U.S. history? Rodney King, now 45, usually begins his day on a skateboard. The exercise, he says, keeps his muscles from stiffening. One side effect from all his injuries. But skateboarding also brings him peace from a haunting past and the demons he's battled for the last 20 years.
Do you still have nightmares?
Yeah, I do.
What's a nightmare? Do you wake up like
Tossing and turning. Sometimes even hearing the voices, that was going on that night. Hands behind your back. Lay down. Get down, get down. Get down, you effing, those words, and so I'll have to wake up and, oh, hey man, it's all right. Look outside and it's all green and blue. That time has passed on, but the nightmares and the memories is still there,
So take me back to that night 20 years ago. And you're driving along, you're in your Hyundai.
We were coming from a friend of mine's house.
King's nightmare begins just after midnight. He and 2 friends, out celebrating, head west on the 210 freeway.
I had just gotten word that my old construction company had called me to come back to work that following Monday.
But the celebration is cut short. State police clock King's car going 110 miles per hour and immediately start a nearly 8-mile high-speed chase through LA neighborhoods. King has always maintained he may have been speeding, but only a little. However, in this rare interview, he sets the record straight.
I was doing 100. I did every bit of 100, and I'm not proud of it.
Why didn't you stop?
Because I had a job to go to that Monday, and I knew I was on parole, and I knew I wasn't supposed to be drinking. And I'm like, oh my God.
Following our interview, Rodney King agrees to relive those terrifying moments by taking me back to the scene.
Coming down to 210.
As we retrace his steps, we discuss those split-second decisions.
My mind was rattling. Either I can get off and go over here to my ex-wife's house, because her daddy is a San Bernardino retired police. At this time, I'm thinking, where can I go? I exit here on Paxton.
So when you exited here, were they behind you? Could you see them?
No, they weren't. They were nowhere in sight. When I came to this light right here, that's when I noticed the helicopter. He's way in front of me, the lights beaming down, going across the streets. My heart is like, my body's hot, and I'm scared, nervous, because I knew it was gonna be pretty much a beating from running from him at that point.
Where'd you pull over?
I seen all those apartments over there, so I said, oh man, let me stop right here. If it goes down, somebody will see it.
Once he stops, they are surrounded by police. King's two friends are arrested without incident.
Put your hands up.
But Rodney King would have a much different fate.
When I opened the door, she said, take 3 steps back away from the car, which I did that. Took 3 steps back. When I took the 3 steps back, said lay down. So when I laid down like this. And my face was facing this way so I could see him. And they said, no, put your effing head down, face down. When I finally faced down, he bam, took the blow, bam, a real hard blow to the temple.
What were they saying to you?
We're gonna kill you, nigga. We're gonna kill you, nigga, run. I knew I was doomed for death. So when he said that, I just looked for a clearance, just kind of like blocking and looking for a clearance. When he did that, I just looked, and then I went up like that to run this way with my hands up to show no threat. And that's when I didn't know, but my leg was broke.
Look closely at the beginning of this unedited version of the video. You can see King does try to get up and run. He appears to lift his arms before falling to the ground. It's this portion of the video that later impacts a jury's decision.
Blood is just gushing down the street. Felt death, you know, death wasn't far away.
What was it like coming here and getting down on the street and reliving this again?
I can't believe I'm alive to get down there. I can't believe I'm alive today.
King says the chase and the beating last a combined 15 minutes. 15 minutes of hell. He sustains more than 50 baton blows and shocks by a taser gun. But it's not over. Somehow, he has to find the strength to survive. As the ambulance rushes him to a nearby hospital, he begins to find it more and more difficult to breathe.
I was blowing the blood out of my sinuses and out of my mouth so I could breathe.
King's injuries, which include 11 fractures, are too severe to be treated at Pacifica Hospital. So he has to be rushed to the trauma unit at USC Medical Center. His initial surgery takes 3 doctors working 5 hours straight to keep him alive.
It was incredible how many fractures there were.
In a CNN interview in 1994, the ophthalmologist who treated King said some bones were so pulverized they were like grains of sand.
We're surprised that he actually was alive.
When you finally woke up, do you remember the first time you saw your reflection?
Yes. I just started crying when I looked at myself. I was like, yeah, will I ever look normal again?
In severe pain and depressed by the possibility of more jail time, King knows he has to tell his side of the story. But who would believe him? There is no evidence. Or so he thinks.
This is history. This is history. We finally caught the Loch Ness Monster with a camcorder.
Still in the hospital, Rodney King thinks he's just another unknown victim of police brutality. Little does he know, his arrest and brutal beating are captured on video by George Holliday, who lived in the apartments across the street.
I was just amazed at what was happening, the feeling of, what the hell could he be doing, could he have done to deserve such punishment?
2 days after the beating, the video is broadcast around the world. Instantly, Rodney King's name becomes a battle cry against injustice. The officer's actions are exposed. King has his evidence, but he has no idea until a nurse tells him.
She said, just stay still, baby, you're in bad shape. We seen it all on tape. She said, just get yourself well and get out of here.
When she said, I saw it on tape, were you like, oh my gosh, there's evidence, so now they're gonna see? Did that go through your head?
Yeah. I said to myself, at least it's on tape. Maybe I got a chance. Maybe I got a chance.
The video ignites a firestorm of outrage. Rodney King is released without being charged. Milton Grimes was one of King's attorneys.
I saw it on TV and I'm saying, they have got to stop beating our brothers like that in South Africa, because I just imagined it was out of the country.
As Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley launches an investigation, so does the FBI. Even the president demands answers.
It was sickening to see the beating that was rendered. There's no way, in my view, to explain that away. It was outrageous.
LA City Councilman Bernard Parks was a deputy police chief in 1991. He says the tape confirmed what many in the black community already felt.
What the symbolism of that video created is it validated in the minds of thousands of people that this is the way police work has been done and was done for decades.
We finally caught the Loch Ness Monster with a camcord.
The district attorney for LA County moves quickly. Indictments are announced.
LAPD officer Lawrence Powell, Timothy Wynn, Theodore Brasino, and Sergeant Stacy Kuhn have been indicted for assault with a deadly weapon.
But racial tensions continue to mount. There is so much publicity and anger. The officer's trial is moved out of LA to the predominantly white community of Simi Valley. Author and journalist Lou Cannon covered the Rodney King controversy for the Washington Post.
I was very concerned about what was going to happen, both because of the demographics of Simi Valley and the demographics of the jury.
February 3rd, 1992. Exactly 11 months after Rodney King's controversial arrest, the trial of the 4 white officers charged in the beating gets underway.
Immediately after this incident, you made a call for a rescue ambulance, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Armed with the videotape as a star witness, Rodney King feels a conviction is all but certain and justice will be served.
I just knew it was going to be served. I didn't think I needed a Johnny Cochran or somebody to fight that case to win the case, because there were cameras.
But will a jury of 10 whites, 1 Hispanic, 1 Filipino American, and no blacks agree? Nearly 3 months into the trial, a hushed courtroom anxiously awaits the verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stacy C. Kuhn, not guilty.
3 of the accused officers are acquitted of all charges, but the jury is hopelessly deadlocked on 1 charge of excessive force against Lawrence Powell. A mistrial is declared on that charge.
It's hard to be surprised when you felt that way the whole way. You're just hoping for the right decision. And because, I know I'm innocent, and that was the verdict.
Powell's attorney, Michael Stone, says, in the end, the unedited video worked against King and helped prove the officer's case.
Most of the nation only saw a few snippets where it's the most violent. They didn't see Rodney King on the ground. They didn't see him get up and run at Powell.
Why do you think the jurors came to a not guilty verdict?
In a use of force case, if the officers do what they're trained to do, how can you find them guilty of a crime? And the jury understood that Rodney King was always the aggressor. Rodney King had the ability at any time to say, that's it, I don't want any more, and he never did.
But your initial reaction when you heard not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty?
The public was not going to accept it.
And King was right. This is the reaction just outside the courthouse. Sheriff's deputies having to protect Sergeant Stacy Kuhn as he makes his way to his car. Movie director John Singleton is in the crowd and makes a chilling prediction.
By having this verdict, what these people done, they lit the fuse to a bomb.
Within just 2 hours after the verdicts, downtown Los Angeles is a war zone.
I said, if I was 20 years younger and had some new tennis shoes, I would be in the streets tonight. This was a lynching on video.
Looters go on a rampage. Innocent people are randomly attacked. White truck driver Reginald Denny just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He hasn't heard about the riots when he exits the interstate. Within minutes, Denny is attacked.
My right window broke, and that time I was extremely frightened. It's a strange feeling to be scared, I guess.
That's all Denny can remember about the beating. But Bobby Green will never forget it. Green, a fellow trucker, sees the attack on television and rushes to the scene nearly 3 miles away. When he arrives, he finds Denny back in his truck, trying to drive himself.
Reggie was already inside the truck, already trying to drive his truck himself. So I pushed him over to the other seat, and I told him I'm here to save his life.
Green drives Denny's truck to the hospital, arriving just in time.
It gave me a glory to my heart that I saved another human being.
Bobby Green is As flames spread across wide sections of the city, Rodney King remains secluded, but stunned by the magnitude of destruction.
Do you anticipate the level of violence that would happen?
Not on that scale, but we were told that like a couple of days before, you know, be careful and stay home.
Entire neighborhoods are reduced to rubble. By the end of the first day of rioting, 12 people have already been killed. While much of the looting is random and the perpetrators are as diverse as the city itself, Radio Korea broadcaster Richard Choi notices a disturbing pattern.
We received a lot of phone calls from the Korean merchant in South LA. What's going on here? What's going on here?
Choi says callers are telling him Korean American-owned businesses are being specifically targeted. And while their pleas for help seem to be ignored, their property is ransacked by roving bands of looters.
I wish this whole thing was a joke, something I dreamed that I could wake up from.
When I watch the TV monitor, is this America? We came this country to want to have some kind of established some American dream. So this is American dream here?
Were those grocers valid in that you ignored their pleas for help, meaning the police department?
Well, I think they're valid in the sense that they weren't ignored. There was no resources to go to those locations. And I think that many thousands of people felt they were ignored. There weren't enough officers.
Long before the riots, tensions had been simmering between some black residents and the Korean American merchants.
There was a language barrier. There wasn't an understanding. There was gruff treatment. There was poor communication skills.
If those people are citizens and law-abiding citizens, can't they open stores in whatever communities they want?
They were providing a service, but that personal relationship was missing.
Those simmering racial tensions ignite after the Rodney King verdict. As billowing smoke moves closer to the financial center of Koreatown, attorney David Kim urges merchants to take action.
You believe the LAPD abandoned the Korean American shop owners during that time?
When I saw that the LAPD did not get their act together on the second day, and that they were telling Korean American merchants in Koreatown to evacuate, that's when I decided to go and ask the Korean American merchants to defend themselves.
KABC television captures these men apparently taking matters into their own hands. By defending themselves, Kim says, Koreatown became a buffer zone in the battle to prevent the loss of more lives and property.
The fact that Koreatown itself was largely unscathed, I think you have to credit the people who live there, and particularly the merchants who were armed and defended their property.
As the riots enter a fourth day, the man at the center of the storm emerges from obscurity, his voice visibly shaken. King speaks to the world.
people, I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
Did you feel compelled to come out and say what you said?
After the first trial, can we all just get along? Because I'm exhausted and I'm tired of seeing the same hateful thing go on in our country.
And also Mayor Tom Bradley, Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley, extending the curfew area in this city of Los Angeles.
It takes 6 days to restore order. The damage is staggering. 55 people lost their lives. Another 2,000 are injured. Property damages exceed $1 billion. 1 week later, President Bush makes a personal visit to Koreatown to ease tensions.
It helped the Korean Americans because they felt like the system had abandoned them. I think that it at least helped them heal their wounds.
The events that unfold after the jury's verdict present a watershed moment in the history of race relations across the country. But in LA, those relations are soon tested again. As another trial keeps the city on edge.